So I was born in Tracy, California, and I grew up in Stockton, California, um, and it was really great. If you know Stockton now, it's a little more dangerous than it was when I was growing up there. I lived with my parents and my siblings. I have two sisters and one brother in a two-story house. There are two bedrooms for the kids, and then the master bedroom, and then a computer room, and then we had a living room downstairs with big windows, and there's a lot of light in there, and that was really cool. And then we had our family room that had a fireplace, and then it was connected to the dining room and the kitchen. Our backyard was pretty big. We had a sandbox that my parents built, which was really cool, and a shed in the back and the lawn. We had a garden at one point, and when that kind of died, we had a swing set. That was fun. We also had fruit trees. We had an orange tree up front that had the best oranges ever, and California oranges are the best anyway. And we had a plum tree and an apple tree and a peach tree and an apricot tree, and it was really cool to have all that fruit accessible to us, and I thought that was awesome. Another thing about living in Stockton was that we were really close to family, which was awesome because my mom's sister and her family lived a block away, so we could just walk over to cousin's house all the time and play with them, and we liked to play Legos, and we liked to play with Polly Pockets and Barbies, and we would play with anything. There wasn't really anything that we preferred. Legos were always fun, and Pokemon, the card game, was always great, and we loved that too. And it was really nice to have family nearby, and my mom's parents, my Nana and Papa, lived close by, so we can visit them a lot. Other family members lived a little farther away. My other grandparents lived in Tracy, along with my other aunts and uncles, and they're still pretty close, so we're still really close to family growing up in Stockton, and that was really nice. One thing about that time was that it was so fun to be able to just go outside and ride our bikes around the block or go rollerblading around the block and not feel worried about anything, and just living in the neighborhood that we lived in there. We were friends with everyone on the block, and we would have water balloon fights with everyone, and it was just really a good memories for me. And school was only like a block away. Well, 2 blocks away. It was 2 blocks away, so we got to ride our bikes to school every day, and that was fun, and my mom would make sure that she would be there to ride home with us and ride us to school on her bike, and that was a good experience for me, because we got to spend time together, and riding bikes isn't that hard of exercise when you're a kid, but it's still a fun thing to do after school and everything. And we lived in Stockton for about 10 years. My parents lived there for 12, but I was born, and I lived there for 10 years, and that was really fun. We had a pinball machine at one point, and that was super cool because it was Jurassic Park, and if you got a high enough score, you got to shoot the raptors when they came up on screen, and that was really fun. And we would play hide and go seek in the dark, which was super fun. But one time we watched Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and I was 7 when we watched it, and then my mom's like, "Why don't we play hide and go seek in the dark?" So we played hide and go seek in the dark after watching birds pluck everyone's eyes out, and it was scary, but it was fun. And growing up in Stockton, we had good family friends, like the Gleasons and the Messers, the Holidays, the Johnsons. They're just people that we met at church, and we didn't really get to go to school with them because we lived far enough away that we didn't get to go to the same school. But they're really good family friends and people that are basically family now, and that was something that I didn't find anywhere after we left Stockton, but I still really love those families and those people in those families, and they really shaped who we are, and I think that's really cool that we have such good influence and friends like that. So after we lived in Stockton, we moved to Valley Springs, California, which is in the middle of nowhere, and I'm sure most of you have never heard of it. We moved up to Valley Springs because my dad lost his job because he was a real estate agent, and so when the housing market burst, it was hard to find work, and so we moved up to Valley Springs to live with my grandparents for a while, my dad's parents, Fred and Mary. They're really cool. So we moved up there when I was 10, so I was in the 5th grade when I moved to a new school. And one of the funniest things was that I was already going to school in Stockton for like a month, and then we transferred to our new school, and they're like, "Where have you been? We've had school for like 2 weeks." I'm like, "Well, I've been going to school for this year for a whole month already, so I've gone to more school than you have." So that was just, that was an interesting transition, and one of the really hard transitions for me was that everything was so far away, and I got car sick a lot when I was little. I still get car sick now a little bit, but back then it was really bad. So in Stockton, everything was about 10 minutes away. The roads were straight. It was a nice drive, and then we got to Valley Springs, and there were just hills and windy roads everywhere. It was bad. It was hard to make it through a car ride without throwing up. So, and stores were 45 minutes away. Church was 45 minutes away. Everything was 45 minutes to an hour away, and it was a hard transition. I mean, as a 10-year-old, it feels like it's longer than it is. Now that I'm used to it, it's not that bad. But it was especially hard when I got car sick a lot, and I was just felt bad because I don't want to throw up in the car. So obviously I tell my parents, like, I need to pull over to throw up, and then so we stopped a lot for a while there until I got more used to the roads. Valley Springs, again, is a small town, and it was interesting coming into this new town and this new school because everybody already knew everybody else, and it was really hard to start to make friends. Eventually I made like 1 or 2 good friends in elementary school. I mean, elementary school friends are a little tricky sometimes because they want to be your friend, but sometimes they're not very good at being your friend, like when they tell everybody your secrets, or they they change preferences so easy because they want to seem like the cool kid. So it was a little difficult to find good friends, especially members of the church, which is funny because you think that everyone's friends in the church, but that was a little difficult because everyone grew up with everybody else, and so they knew everybody else, so they preferred people they knew to people that they didn't know, like me. So it was a little hard to make friends when we first moved up here, up to Valley Springs, and but eventually the 6th grade I was doing a science project with one of the girls from church. Her name is Laura McGarry. Well, it's Vasquez now since she got married. And we decided to test why onions make you cry. And so we did weeks of experimenting with these onions and just cutting them, and we got the onions that made you cry the most, that excreted the most juices that made you cry. And we just tried different methods, like wearing goggles or lighting candles or using the chopper that has the cover over it so that you don't actually smell it. We tried chewing gum. It was really funny, and Laura, having not grown up in Valley Springs either, we were able to connect better together than with the other girls at church and at school. So we became good friends after that, so that's pretty cool. So I spent the rest of my lower education in Valley Springs, so through high school and everything. And my parents still live there, and so my siblings are in Valley Springs right now. And we did find families that we enjoy to be with, like the Stewarts and the Cragans. They're super fun. We might not be like the closest of friends with all their kids. Hunter has more friends with the Cragan boys because they're more their age, and but they're still super great families, and it's nice to have families that we can be friends with so that everyone can feel included when people come over, and that's just super fun. And I think Valley Springs is a great place, and I'm very grateful that we moved there. One, because Stockton got a lot worse after we left. There was already a lot of gang violence when we were living there, but it got a lot worse when we left. So we're grateful that we were able to move to Valley Springs. And I think it was also a good experience for my siblings and I to be in a place so rural, so country, so vast and so different. So I think it was a good experience for us to be able to transition from a suburban lifestyle to a country lifestyle where we could raise chickens and pigs. We raised some cows, Zuko and Boomy. They're so cute. They really like giving people hugs, which is scary when they're 300-pound cows. And one time my brother was out in the field, and he was just petting them and giving them some like treats, and one of them just jumps up and puts his hooves over Hunter's shoulders. Thank goodness Hunter was tall enough and strong enough at the time to like hold him up, and then the other cow comes around wanting to hug him too. Luckily they both didn't jump on him at the same time, but that's just awesome. I think it's hilarious. And we wouldn't have had the opportunity to raise animals like that in Stockton. And it's fun that we got the responsibility of taking care of animals that were kind of your pets, but you also got something out of them. Like the chickens we got eggs from, so we had to collect the eggs. And the pigs we raised, and we just gave them all the scraps of food we could, and then they were butchered, so we had pig meat. We had the cows for meat, so it was a little sad, but I was grateful that I was not there when they got butchered. And we had 2 horses, Chocolate and Storm, and Storm is actually the stunt horse from Zorro 2, if you've ever seen that. So that's really cool. Unfortunately, a lot of our chickens died because of coyotes or bobcats that have gotten in the coop. And Chocolate died. She used to play polo for Stanford. She died just because she's old, and that's pretty sad. And we have a lot of cats, too. The cats came with the property that we moved into about 5 years ago, I think. And the owner said that they were both boys, so we didn't expect to have kittens, but then a few weeks later there were kittens everywhere, and they're so cute, and we had to convince my dad to let us keep them. Because when we first moved there, he's like, we're not going to feed the cats. We don't want cats here. But then we're like, but they can stay in the barn. They can eat the rats. They can chase off snakes. They're good. We can have the cats. So we convinced him that as long as they stayed outside, we can have them. And he's really grown on them. So we have a lot of cats. And then, unfortunately, a lot of them got taken by owls when they're playing on the roof, or one of our cats, Stub, he's immune to venom because he got bitten by a snake. We're not actually sure if it was a venomous snake, but we could see the puncture wounds on his side, and then my sister tried to help him, and then the pus just came out. But he didn't die, so that's great, and he's been around the longest. All of his kittens have gone away, either by being taken by other people to raise, or they were taken by predators, which is sad. But then we got 2 black cats, Bullet and Jinx, and then they had a litter of kittens. So we have a lot of cats at home right now. They're outside cats, because my sisters and my dad are allergic to cats. And especially my grandma is allergic to cats and animals. So they don't come inside. That way they can all breathe if they're at home. So Valley Springs is just, it's home now. I wouldn't consider any other place home. So even though it's in the middle of nowhere and it's kind of inconvenient to get to places, it's still home, and that's and I think that's important, to have a place you can call home. So growing up, we had a phrase in my family, and it was, don't trust anything Grandpa says unless it involves Disneyland. So that was basically our family motto whenever it came to Grandpa. Grandpa lies unless it involves Disneyland. And we went to Disneyland a lot growing up. Honestly, I know a lot about Disneyland because of how much we've been there. And it always surprised me when people say they've never been to Disneyland, just because that was a big part of my childhood, was going to Disneyland as a family. There were a lot of times that we went with my whole extended family, like with my dad's whole side, with all my cousins and my grandparents. And then there are other times where it's just our family. And then there was also a lot of times where it was just my grandparents and our family. There were a few times that we met with my mom's side of the family at Disneyland, but it was mostly my dad's side of the family, and that's what we did together. It was really, really cool as a kid to be able to go to Disneyland like 3 or 4 times a year, because we had season passes, and when we had a break from school, it was a whole month at the time, because we went 3 months to school and then a month off. It was a track system when we were growing up in Stockton, and that's when we mostly went to Disneyland. And it's just super cool to be able to experience Disneyland, and to basically, I feel like I lived there as a child, even though I wasn't there nearly as much as I was at home or other places. But Disneyland is a big part of my childhood. I remember a lot of things, like meeting Winnie the Pooh was the greatest thing ever. Meeting Belle is the greatest thing ever. I loved Belle. The Beast scared me, though, when he came out to meet and greet people. I loved Belle, not the Beast. And I remember one time we were watching a parade, and I just started crying. I don't remember why, but I'm like, this is supposed to be the happiest place on earth, and I'm crying, and I don't remember what it was about. It's probably something silly. But we would watch the Fantasmic show, and I remember that I packed a sweatshirt, but I mean, I'm still a little kid, and I was freezing cold, so my dad took off his sweatshirt, and he gave it to me to wear, and it was so big. It was so big, but, I remember him saying, like, "It's okay, I'm not cold." And, he attributed it to the fact that he had more leg hair and arm hair on his body than I did. And I was really little. I'm like not super little. I was probably 6 when he did that, and that's just great to me. And every part of Disneyland is important to me because of my family, and because we spent that time together in the park, riding rides, having fun together. We would always make this plan of, okay, we're gonna get to the park before it opens so we can go and hit this ride first because it has the longest waiting time. We often ran to Indiana Jones, that ride first, or Star Tours, because those were the longest lines for a while. Space Mountain also had a really long line. So, and we often go for like a week at a time, so we would have different game plans every day to try to fit as many rides as possible into the day, and it was just, it was really fun to be in the lines and to be together as a family and to be able to have that bonding experience, because the rides are always like the best part, right? But being together and standing in those lines and talking to your family and joking with your family is just something that can't be replaced, or something that I don't know if we would have found outside of Disneyland. My favorite ride is Splash Mountain, because I know you're all wondering that. And my sisters, their favorites were Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, and the Matterhorn. Megan had 2 favorites. Megan's were Space Mountain and Thunder Mountain. Morgan's was the Matterhorn. Hunter's favorite ride, I think it's Splash Mountain. No, his favorite ride is the Grizzly Rapids. That's in California Adventures, not exactly Disneyland, but I mean it's the same amusement park, theme park. Basically, I mean you just go across the walkway to get to California Adventures. So his is that one. My parents love all the rides. The one I was most terrified was the Tower of Terror, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. I think when I was growing up, it was mostly because the story was the Twilight Zone, which really creeped me out, and they're like, these people entered the elevator and never came back, and that was really scary to me. And then the fact that the elevator shoots straight up and then just drops and you just kind of free fall, that was also scary as a kid. Since then I've learned that if I don't listen to the story, the ride is fine. So later I kept going on it because my family liked it. My dad wasn't a huge fan of that one. Neither was my grandpa. My grandpa he rode it once and then it was like never again. So I tried to keep riding it so I could spend time with family, and I learned that if I didn't listen to the Twilight story, then I was good for the ride. I also really liked the California Screamin' roller coaster because it did a loop-de-loop. That was super cool. And another thing so I mentioned watching the parades together and watching the Fantasmic show. They also had the Aladdin show in the Hyperion Theater in California Adventure, which was a thing that we did all the time. It was, if it was hot, it's like, okay, let's go get some ice cream and then we can watch Aladdin in the cool AC theater. So we would watch the show sometimes 3 times in the week that we were there. My grandparents would see even more because sometimes they got more tired, so they just sat down to watch the show, which is great. Yeah, and we also like to go to the character drawing studio that they have in California Adventures, where they teach you how to draw a Disney character. They did Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, Tigger, Phineas, Ferb, Perry the Platypus. Just a lot of different characters, which are super fun. We did Jack Skellington last time we were there. And then we like to do the which Disney character test are you that they have in the basement of that building that they have the art studio, and then talking to Crush the Turtle or watching the Muppet Show. There was one time we went, and this was before they brought in the Monsters, Inc. attraction into California Adventures, and they did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, and it was pretty fun to watch people get up there and answer questions. And my grandpa was, he told us, okay, this is how you get on the show. You just push D, B, C, and then A. You just push all the buttons when you answer the question in that order, instead of just answering one question. So we're like, no, that's not true, Grandpa, because, you don't believe anything Grandpa says unless it involves Disneyland. And he did that, and he got called up to play the game. I was like, wow, Grandpa, you were right. So that was pretty fun, and to be able to watch my grandpa do that. And my dad and my sister got to go down and be his lifeline, which was fun. But it was just really cool, I guess. Yeah, so Disneyland and California Adventures are just a huge part of my childhood and bonding with my family, and being able to spend that time with my family and being in a fun atmosphere where we didn't have to worry about anything except what rides we were going on and what characters we were going to meet. And that was there. It's just great. And I mean, we still go to Disneyland. My sister even worked at Disneyland, but I'll talk about that later. And Disneyland and just Disney in general is huge for us. We love the Disney movies. I mean, there was a period where their movies weren't that great, but we love Disney, and we're a Disney family. But I think it's much deeper for us than people who just like the movies and who watch the movies as a family. For us, we kind of live and breathe Disney. And I think a lot of that is because we spent so much time in Disneyland and spending those times together and bonding together. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of my childhood. So I went to high school at Calaveras High School in San Andreas, California. It was only like 20 minutes away from Valley Springs, but that was our high school. In high school, I was very active in a lot of things. I was going to early morning seminary for church. I was on the cross-country team for 4 years. I was on the track team for 2 years and then switched over to tennis for my last 2 years. I was in band, and part of being in band was that we had a marching band as well, so that took a lot of time and a lot of energy. I was taking as many AP classes as I could, and I tried to be very social, and I tried to make a lot of friends. Well, maybe not a lot. I tried to make friends, but but high school's a little more tricky than you think it is, I think. I had a group of friends in junior high and we moved up to high school. We stayed as our group of friends, and there were like 6 or 7 of us, and we stick together for about 3/4 of freshman year, and that's when people started separating. And sophomore year, so it's down to like 5 of us, and then one of the girls didn't. She left the group because of drama from another girl. And then that girl left because she wanted to hang out with different people, which is fine. So eventually it was just me and Amber, and so we were pretty good. We were happy that we had a friend. One good friend is better than, 12 fake friends, I guess. And that was great until she got a boyfriend, so then she spent more time with him than with me, which makes sense. I mean, if you're dating someone, you probably spend more time with them than other people. So a lot of my junior and senior year, I was alone, which is not fun, but it's important because it shaped who I am. And I wasn't like really alone because for most of my senior year, my mom was actually a long-term substitute teacher for a remedial math class because the teacher quit, and so she was a long-term sub. So I would often just hang out with my mom, and I thought that, I never thought it was lame or anything. A lot of people think it's lame to hang out with their parents, but I love my mom. She really saved me that year. It was hard. That was a hard year, my senior year. Because you think everything's like going well, but there are so many things, and it was hard to not have friends. But having my mom there, and being able to go to her classroom whenever I needed to was great. She was there. I didn't have to feel like I was alone and that no one liked me. And I don't think it's that people didn't like me. They just didn't want to spend time with me. That's a little intimidating in high school, I think, because I stuck to my standards really well. In high school, there was about 8 of us who were Mormon in the same grade. There are other Mormons at high school, but I really stuck to my standards, and I think a lot of people found that intimidating, as well as I was at the top of my class. Always. Ever since I moved to Valley Springs, I was always at the top of my class. I was a year advanced in math, and I think it was hard for people to want to be my friend because I stuck to my standards, and I was smart. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that was intimidating because I think a lot of people just kind of saw me as smart. They did, but they didn't see me as fun, which isn't true. I'm super fun. And having my mom there to be my friend is great, and my mom is my best friend. So I'm really grateful that she was there for my high school experiences when I was not doing so great friend-wise. So happier moments of high school. Again, I was in cross country and band. I loved band. Band was my life in high school.
even though I did sports, I preferred band. I started out playing the trumpet, and then I switched to the French horn, which is the most beautiful instrument in the world, and I love it so much. So I played the French horn during concert season. The mellophone, which is just the marching French horn, I played that during marching season. I felt like I was in my element in band because it made sense. The music made sense. Marching made sense. Like the choreography with the music, I mean, it's not super difficult, but being able to play and walk at the same time is super cool. And to do a field show and to compete, to do that was really cool. I loved marching band. It wasn't super fun when it was super hot outside, but I still loved it. And I loved going to the football games and wearing uniform, and we get to play the pep music, and then we do the field show in front of the whole school and the whole audience. And we used to joke that people don't come to the football games to watch football, they come to watch the field show. I don't think that's true at all, but that's what we would say because we just loved it so much. Being part of the marching band, I had a lot of leadership opportunities. I was a section leader. I was the horn sergeant, which is basically a backup drum major. I was band captain, which means that if anyone had questions about how to read their dot charts or about the music, they could come to me and ask anything. So I had a lot of leadership opportunities with that. I auditioned to be drum major, actually. And I worked really hard with Jamie Worthy. She's my band buddy. Because we get band buddies when we're freshmen, and then our band buddy just kind of sticks with us and makes sure that we have a friend in band. And she was drum major, and she was teaching me all about different things. And one was conducting, and so I know how to conduct, and I know how to conduct really big for the field show. And she taught me how to yell commands, because that was one of the hardest things for me, is to yell, because I'm pretty soft-spoken. And so that was a hard thing, but I learned, and I practiced really hard for this audition. The day before we did the auditions, I got really, really sick. I couldn't move without throwing up. I couldn't keep any food down. But I was determined to go to school the next day so I could audition, and I did. I went to school eating saltines and drinking Sprite, and that was all I ate all day. And I did my audition, and I feel like I did really good. I was given the song, the Star-Spangled Banner, to learn how to conduct. And I was given the command of mark time. So that's when you march in place to mark the time of the pace and tempo that you're going to be marching and playing music at. I was competing against two other girls, the great Deborah Ark, Majiabi, and Brittany Church, and I think we were a close competition. In the end, I didn't get it. I feel like I really earned it, but I didn't get it, and I think that was a really important experience for me, because I learned that failure shapes us much more than success does. And so I had to learn to be okay with not being the drum major, not having my dream come true. That was a dream I've had since junior high, was to become the drum leader. Drum major, sorry. And it was hard to watch all my hard work seem to go down the drain, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I can be more vocal. I can break out of my shell a little. I don't have to be so quiet and reserved all the time. And I think that that failure really shaped me. I did get to go to drum major camp with Brittany, who's the drum major, and I got to learn a lot about being a drum major because I was still really interested in it, and I was gonna be the backup to the assistant drum major. So if both the drum major and the assistant were gone, then I would be in charge. So I learned a lot about conducting field shows and giving commands, and we did drill downs, which is really fun. It's just marching commands, but you don't do it with instruments or anything. And it was kind of funny because I did super well at those. I don't know. I won the drill down a few times. I scored like the second to highest score you can get on the field show conducting, and I think that's just really cool. So I did really well, and I think that was a good experience to learn that just because you don't always get the position you want, you're still able to learn and grow. And if things are really important to you, then you'll be able to do them. Another thing with band is that we had a tri-county honor band. It was Amador County and then Calaveras County. Oh, it was a bi-county honor band, actually, because Bret Hart was part of Calaveras County. They're our rival school. But we would have Amador, Argonaut, Calaveras, and Bret Hart schools, and if you wanted to do honor band, you auditioned, and then they placed you according to how skill-wise where you were. And that was super cool because a guest conductor would come in, and we would get to play the coolest music ever. One time we played The Lord of the Rings. Another time we just, I forget what they're called, but they're the coolest music ever, and we got to keep the music, which is even cooler. And it was really fun. My teacher recommended that I do it in junior high as well as high school, because she thought I was good enough to do the honor band in middle school, which was awesome, and I really wanted to. But in junior high, it's the same honor band thing. Like, one plays right after the other. Except in junior high, the concerts were on Sundays. So I just said, I can't do that. And it was a little sad, and I was a little disappointed that I couldn't do something that sounded so cool. But when I got to high school, my teacher came up to me, Mrs. Allard, she's like the greatest band teacher ever, and she came up to me and said that honor band this year, the concert will be on Saturday. There will be no more Sunday concerts. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because I kept saying, no, I can't do this because it's on Sunday, and I won't do this because it's on Sunday. And then when I started going to the honor band things, I got to do it all 4 years at high school. I saw a lot of other LDS kids from my stake, and I thought that was really cool. So I think what happened was that there's so many of us LDS kids who had so much talent and potential, and our teachers wanted us to be able to experience this thing, but since it was on Sunday, we wouldn't do it. So I think that together, collectively, we all influenced our teachers to change the day that it happened, so that we could do this thing. And I think that's really cool to see that keeping our standards can change people's perspectives, and we don't have to sacrifice our standards to be able to participate and do what we want. Yeah. Another really cool part of band is that my sophomore year, we got to go to Disneyland. It was 2013, and so you have to qualify to go to Disneyland. Your band has to rank a gold or superior ranking depending on the ranking system. So our band was qualified from my freshman year to go to Disneyland my sophomore year. And so we competed, and we won. We won first place. Our band was awesome. We got first place. And then we were able to go to Disneyland and go to the park, and we spent time together. So Jamie and I spent a lot of time together. We're supposed to stay in groups of 4, except our group was really slow and they didn't want to ride anything, so it was really boring, so we just left them, which we probably should have done, but we did. So we would ride from ride to ride, run from ride to ride, because we just had to ride everything we could. I don't remember eating a lot those days because I was just so excited. Yeah, and one of the coolest things about that was that we got to actually go backstage on the Disney grounds, and we got to go behind Bugs Life and Cars Land, and they have studios back there for you to play music and record. So our band got to go back there, and we played through music from Lion King. I think we played something from I think it was a Pixar movie, but it was a lot of the Lion King music. And that was just so cool because we had headphones. We could see the movie playing while we played music, and there was a conductor who knew what he was doing, and he knew the music, and he was just really cool, and it's just the coolest experience to be able to do that. And another cool thing is my husband was actually in Disneyland at the same time, but we hadn't met yet. So that's pretty funny that we went on the same band Disney trip and we didn't know it. So that's cool too. So yeah, high school was an adventure. I really loved band. I loved the sports. Loved seminary. I graduated second in my class. I was first my whole high school career. I was the first until my senior year, my writing class. I did what the teacher told me, and I got lower grades. So I asked her what I needed to fix. So I'd fix those things and I'd get the same grade. So it was a little frustrating to be graduating a second. But instead of first, even though I held that first position for so long, but I still graduated at the top of my class. I got a lot of scholarships. I got 3 scholarships, one for music, one for being a leader, one for something else. I think it was the French club, because I was also in the French Honor Society. Yeah, and that was really cool. I got the marching band national award, and I got another certificate award for music. Yeah, and it was fun because at the end of my senior year, we do band awards every year, but my senior year, that's when I got the marching band national award. And there are 2 other awards. You could get the Philip Sousa award, and it was another leadership award, and it was pretty cool to get the marching band one, and it was pretty funny because you kind of expect the drum major to get that, but she didn't. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I think it's funny. And afterwards, my teacher said, "You know what? You could have had all 3 of these awards." And that was just the greatest thing ever. She said that I was basically the best person ever. No, just kidding. But she said that I earned all the awards except she gave me the marching band one because the band as a whole voted for me to have that one, and I thought that was really cool that they thought I was the most dedicated and excited about marching band, and it was really nice to be told that I was such a good student, leader, musician, and whatever to be able to earn all the other awards. But I mean, she can't give one person all of them. That's kind of wrong. But it was really a nice thing for her to tell me. Yeah, so that was high school. There are definitely a lot of ups and downs. Band was probably the most exciting and best thing for me. Oh, I also learned how to play tuba my senior year. That was really cool, because I was helping the freshman band, and I was playing in the symphonic band. So I learned how to play the tuba for the freshman band since they didn't have anyone to do that. So that was cool. But yeah, that was high school. So I went to BYU not knowing anyone who was going to be there. The first week I was there like a week early before school started. I went and found a job at the Jesse Knight building as an early morning custodian, and I've been doing that job for 3 years. I'm still doing that job, because it always works with my schedule, 4:30 to 7:30 in the morning. It's great. Yeah, so I started at BYU, thinking that I was going to go into the music program and be a music composition major. And I was so excited, and I love movie soundtracks, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to score movies, because they're a huge impact in my life. I mean, most of the time when I would listen to music at home growing up, it was either church music, Disney music, or it was scores from movies, mostly the Star Wars movies and Indiana Jones. So mostly John Williams soundtracks that we would listen to. But so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to score movies. So I spent my freshman year getting ready for that, and I took a French horn class. I auditioned for a band. I auditioned for a marching band. I didn't get into the marching band, which is fine. So I auditioned for a normal band, and they forgot to place me in a band. I didn't even make it into the non-audition band. So that kind of stunk. So I was thinking, well, what the heck? I auditioned, but apparently they just lost my audition, which is sad. I mean, I went into a professor's office and auditioned in front of him, and he took notes and everything, so I should have been placed in a band. Maybe not the highest band, but I should have been placed in a band, but I wasn't. But that's okay, because at the end of the year, I auditioned for the program, and I didn't get in, and I was really devastated for a little bit there, because this has been my dream. Again, since junior high, I've had this dream of composing music, and I loved it so much. And when I didn't get in, it was a little devastating. You can apply to the program twice, but after not making it into marching band, not getting placed in a band because they misplaced my audition, not doing well enough in auditions to make it into the program, and then before I even went to college, the deadlines for the application to that program were before I even graduated from high school, but they didn't tell us. The music program didn't tell any of the freshmen that, so none of us know. So then I'm like, oh, when are auditions? And they're like, oh, you missed it. So I mean, after all those things were happening, I felt that maybe this wasn't the right path for me, because there are obviously things that got in the way of me of getting getting into the program and doing things with bands, which was weird, but it makes sense after. So one of the pluses of not being placed into a band was that I got to join a Quidditch team. That's pretty fun. Quidditch is a sport from Harry Potter, and it's the greatest game ever. You actually ride on brooms. We usually use PVC pipes, that way there's not the bristles at the end and they're not super long that they can actually injure people. And we have the 6 hoops that we score from. You can score from either side. They're worth 10 points. It's basically the same rules as in Harry Potter. The only difference is that the snitch is a person, and they're only worth 30 points, not 150, because it's more competitive that way. And there are 3 bludgers on the field instead of 2. That way there's more of a control and an advantage for having more bludgers, and there's more competition there as well. I was a beater. I was really good at hitting people with dodgeballs and with the bludgers, and if they got hit, they got knocked off their broom. They had to run back to their hoops, and then they could rejoin play. So I was really good at that. I was good at beating people and keeping them from scoring. So that's what I did. I wasn't so good at running back and forth and trying to score or goalie. I was not nearly tall enough to be goalie. Our keeper, McKay, is like 6'8" or something. He's so tall, but like he. But I tried once in practice and I got nailed in the jaw with a broom. So I was not a keeper. I was a beater. I love beating. So yeah, Quidditch is great, and I wouldn't have found that or that group of people if I had gotten into marching band or into a normal band. So I'm very, very grateful that it worked out that way, because a lot of the people I met, they're so fun to be with. We got to go on road trips for Quidditch. We went to Boise. We went to California twice. We went to LA once, and then we went to it's that place right next to San Francisco. Why can't I remember? Yeah, but we went to California again, so, and then there was a tournament in Arizona that the team went to. I didn't go to that one because that was right after I got smacked in the jaw. I didn't technically have a concussion, said the doctor, but I felt super dizzy and nauseous all the time, so I'm not sure if that's accurate. But, yeah, so I didn't go to that one because I was not going to be able to play, so, yeah, and we made it to regionals. We almost made it to nationals, and it's just great. I only got to play a year and a half because my life started getting a lot more hectic, and I couldn't handle being on a team and my school life at the same time. So I had to stop, but it's still a super fun game. So after Quidditch and not getting into the music program, I figured I was going on a mission. I remember saving my pennies in a tomato jar when I was 5 years old, and thinking I'm going to go on a mission. And I saved all my pennies for that, and then, I did pretty good for a while, and then I'd spend it all, and then I would do pretty good for a while and spend it all. But I was really, really convinced that was what I was supposed to do, was to go on a mission. And so at the end of my freshman year, as I was getting ready to fill out my paperwork, I had an interview with my bishop. He said I'm ready to go, so I started filling out my paperwork. I was so excited, and then I got really, really stressed out. And so I thought about it, and then I finally realized that I never prayed about a mission. It always felt right to me, but I never prayed about it because I thought that it's a great thing. Why wouldn't Heavenly Father want me to do this? So I prayed about it. I fasted about it, and then I had a dream which made it very clear to me that I was not supposed to go on a mission. So I didn't, and that was a hard week for me, because that was the week I found out I didn't get into the music program, and then I found out that I wasn't supposed to go on a mission through revelation, and it was a hard week for me. But then I tried to look at the bright side of things, like, okay, what is my path now? And I decided I was going to go for the illustration program. And so, and then I figured that Heavenly Father gave me an answer to my prayer, so there's no use of worrying about it or trying to tell them that he's wrong, because he obviously knows what's better for me than I do. So I went home for the summer. I worked at Marval, the grocery store in Valley Springs, and it was the worst job ever. And then I went back to school, and I started with the illustration program. And I took a lot of illustration classes. I was super excited for it. I applied for the program at the end of the year, didn't get in. Felt like I should apply again, so I did. In the summer, I applied again, didn't get in. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because the second time I was applying, I was really kind of hoping that I wouldn't get in. Which is funny to say because you think that you want to get into something you apply for, but I found out that they have a costume and makeup design major at BYU, and I love Halloween, so I wanted to do that more than I wanted to do illustration. Also, the staff in the illustration weren't the best for me, I think, personality-wise. So I was really hoping I didn't get in, and when I didn't, I was very excited because I wanted to do costumes and makeup. During that time of illustration, trying to get into the program, I was also getting ready for my wedding, so that was an interesting time trying to balance getting a portfolio ready and then trying to plan a wedding, and but it worked out because I was really after I applied the second time, I was just really hoping I wouldn't get in, that way I can try out costumes and makeup. So now I'm a makeup designer right now. Haven't taken any costume classes, but I will. So, and a lot of it is theater-based, but I'm hoping that I can do film. I think that'd be super cool. And so right now we're just styling wigs. We made a life cast of our face, so I have a stone face of my face, which is really fun. So I can make prosthetics on it, and Halloween is going to be super cool because I can make prosthetics on my face. And I love the program I'm in now. I've been in different programs and different majors every year so far that I've been in college. This is my junior year. So first year was music, second illustration, and third is theater for makeup and costumes. And I just love this major, and once I made the decision that this is what I wanted to do, and once I started taking the classes, it just felt so right, and it felt so good to be in something that I could be in, and it feels good to be in a major that I feel like I can excel in, so that's nice. And one really cool thing that's just happened is I got a letter in the mail, and I got told that I made it onto the dean's list for my grades last semester. And that's really cool because I got the letter in the mail, and jokingly I'm like, I probably made the dean's list. That's what this letter is, and then it actually was. So that was pretty funny, but that's really cool, and I feel. It was never a goal of mine to be on the dean's list because I felt like, okay, I tried to be the best in high school and it didn't work out. I failed on a lot of levels at being the best in high school, like being drum major and graduating first. But I decided that it doesn't matter being the best anymore. So I thought it was just really cool that it wasn't something I was trying for, but my efforts are still recognized, and I think that's really cool. So yeah, and I have about a year or two left at BYU in the major. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to see where this takes me. So I already mentioned my parents in the Disneyland section and in the high school section, but I think I had the greatest parents ever. Mike and Hillary Colborn. I'm so glad that they are my parents. They love me and they love my siblings very much. They say they don't have favorites. All of us claim that we're the favorite, so I'm just gonna say that I'm their favorite, and they can refute that later. So my mom is so cool, so talented. When we were growing up, she would plan our birthday parties for us. It would be any theme that we wanted. Megan and Morgan had Indiana Jones parties not all the time, once. Hunter had a superhero party. I had a Lego party, and she would just go above and beyond to make these parties the best thing ever. My favorite party for me was my Sweet 16 because we got to do a Tri-Wizard tournament. It was the greatest thing ever. I sent out little Hogwarts acceptance letters to all the guests, and we decorated we made our own wands, and we did different challenges. So we did the dragon challenge, we did the mermaid challenge, we did the maze. I mean, obviously they're adapted so that we could do them where we were. But the food was all Harry Potter themed. There, pumpkin tasties and other things, the tarts and butterbeer, and it's just everything a Harry Potter fan could ever want. And we had a sorting hat. It was just the most amazing thing ever. I was sorted into Ravenclaw. We kind of cheated and planned it beforehand so that I could she gave me the colored bead so that I could just stick my fist in it and pull out a blue bead that I already had, because I just love Ravenclaw. It turns out I'm Hufflepuff, but at the time I thought I was Ravenclaw. And that was just the greatest thing ever. And like everyone who was there loved it, and it was just the greatest thing ever. And my mom came up with it all, and she also was able to keep it a secret from me so I wouldn't have an advantage over anyone. And that's the greatest thing. My house won, thank goodness. I would have been very sad if we lost, but we actually won, so that's great. And it's just really cool that she did that for us, and she made sure that everyone got what they wanted, and that the birthday parties were what we asked, and she would go above and beyond to do that. My mom also is very good at woodwork. One time she made a life-size Triceratops out of wood in our living room as a skeleton, just the skeleton, so it wasn't like full, but she made it for my sister's class because it was dinosaur week at school, and it filled the entire living room. We had to crawl under it to get from the door, from like the entry door to the family room. It's pretty funny. It's so cool. My mom just did this, and then she just made other dinosaurs after that. And she made a Salt Lake Temple that's taller than I am. She made a Tree of Life that is huge. It's a wooden Tree of Life. And she does these things because she loves them, and they just fit for whatever lesson or class that needs it. So with the dinosaur for the school is because it's dinosaur week, and she wanted to do that for them, and she donated it to the class after. And then for the temple is for like a Relief Society activity, and then for the Tree of Life it was a young men and young women's activity with the Tree of Life and the iron rod, and she just went above and beyond for everything she does. She's so excited about what she does and so creative, and it's awesome to have a mom that can do everything that you ever want. It's just, she's so talented, and I'm very grateful she's my mom. But I'm mostly grateful for her because, I mean, she's my mom. And she loves me, and she would do anything for me, and it's pretty obvious. And again, she's one of my best friends ever. And yeah, I love her so much. And she's so fantastic, and she she taught my siblings and I to really love the arts, to love music. Like, again, she's the one who played all the John Williams soundtracks that got me into music composition, and she taught us how to draw. I mean, she's not a professional artist or anything, but she taught us these things and how to love these things and how to express ourselves creatively. And she taught us to love the gospel. I mean, she would always study her scriptures while she was eating. I didn't know how she could read and eat cereal at the same time when I was little. I just didn't know how she could do that. I mean, she provided dinner, or she made dinner for us. She made sure that we felt loved, and she taught us a lot of important things, especially about God and Jesus Christ and the gospel, and about temple marriages and about the family. And we had family home evening every week. And also my mom is the reason that my dad is in the church, because they met in high school. They met in a chemistry class, which I think is great. And my dad asked her out. She said no because she wasn't 16. So he was devastated. It's so funny, the story when he tells the story. And then so he asked again later. She said okay because she was finally 16. And then, I mean, they dated for a while. They dated all through high school. And then I think pretty early on in the relationship, my mom's like, I'm not going to marry anyone outside of the temple. And he's like, what? I'm just dating you. I'm not talking marriage. Like, they're still in high school. But when my dad started going to church activities and getting the missionary lessons, and he got baptized at 17, and then his parents, my grandparents, got baptized, except my grandpa. My grandpa actually was already LDS, which is really funny, but he didn't tell my dad until like after he went to a fireside, and my grandpa's like, so you learn about Joseph Smith? And then my dad's like, yeah. My dad can tell the story much better because he actually lived through it. But so then my dad's family got baptized, and my mom is the reason, and I think that's really cool. My mom studied kinesiology in college, so because she wanted to be a PE teacher. She was a substitute teacher for about 9 years. And that was really cool, and she's a seminary teacher right now. I think she's the greatest seminary teacher ever, and I think she's the greatest young women's leader ever, and I just love whenever I spend time with her, so. My dad is also super great. Both of my parents taught us, to work hard, and, they taught us about the gospel, but my dad, I love him so much. My dad, he worked at a Yellow Pages phone book when I was growing up for a while, and then he did a real estate agent, and then he, when he was out of work, he applied to jobs like 3 or 4 times a day. He would send in 3 or 4 applications a day when he was out of work for about a year or 2. And I don't know, I thought he was at home and he's playing games because he likes to play computer games, but he did work on doing his best to provide for us. Yeah. My dad is very loving and very supportive. My mom was too, but if we wanted to try something, he would let us do it. He encouraged us to invite friends over whenever we want, and have movie nights whenever we want. and he tried to make us be more social. Like, he tried to get my sisters to go to the stake dances. I would willingly go, but for them it's hard to get them to go. So he was very encouraging. One thing I love that my mom tells us is that my dad is super, super charitable. He's willing to help anyone. Obviously there are times where he's tired and he has stuff he wants to do, but he's very generous. For my high school band, we had to, raise funds to be able to go to competitions and go to Disneyland, and my dad he donates hundreds of dollars for our program because the school doesn't have a music budget, and he just and during Christmas time he gives the bishop money for families who need it, or just anything. When he goes home teaching with my brother, they make sure that their people are taken care of. My dad dressed up as Darth Vader for my Star Wars birthday party. It's the greatest thing. And I think that he's the greatest dad ever. And I love my parents so much. My dad, I think, really inspired my siblings and I to love movies and to love superheroes, to love comics and video games, and just different things that he loves. He taught us to love those things as well. And I think a lot of those things are a big part of our family. For my brother, it's video games. He just loves those. For my sisters and I, it's more of the movies than the video games. I still love video games, but and then one of my sisters, she just loves superheroes. So a lot of our interests and talents come from both my parents, and I love them very much. And it's very, very hard for me to leave them after I got married. After the reception in Oregon, they left to go home, and I stayed in Oregon a few more days, and then we came back to Utah for school. And I had a rough couple of days, just because they're my people, they're my family, and it's hard to say goodbye to something that you know, and that you love so much, and who people have changed you, and shaped you your whole life. It's not goodbye forever, because I obviously still talk to them, but yeah, my parents are the greatest parents alive, so I love them so much. So like I said earlier, I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. My sisters, Megan and Morgan, they're twins. They're 23 years old, and my brother, Hunter, he's 17 right now. So he's a senior in high school. My sisters have graduated from BYU, Idaho. Megan studied graphic design in college, and she's currently working a graphic design job at a bank. My sister Morgan studied illustration, and she's applying for jobs at Disney and Pixar, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and she really wants to do storyboarding, and that's really cool. My brother is still in high school. This is his last year, and he really likes ceramics and architecture, and he's just really, really good at creating things. If you watch him play Minecraft, he creates the coolest things ever. I don't know how he does it, but he's really good at that. So Megan worked at Disneyland for a few months as a custodian. I mean, she picked up trash basically, but she loved it. She is the oldest. She's very, very generous. She likes to make things for people. She likes to paint quotes and ornaments and just anything that is inspirational. She really likes quotes because she loves words and storytelling, and there's a lot of storytelling within words, and so quotes to her are really cool. Morgan loves to draw animals, especially foxes. She's a really, really amazing illustrator. She's really good at what she does. Both of my sisters are really good at what they do. They're so different, but still so creative, and they're both very nice. My sisters and I like to joke with each other. We're pretty sarcastic with each other. Sometimes pretty sassy. But one time we cut out a bunch of Nicolas Cage's, just pictures of Nicolas Cage, and we stuck them in a car. So the Cragans were over there visiting, and they didn't lock their car. So we just went into their car and taped Nicolas Cage's everywhere in their car. We hid some a little more difficult so that they could find them later. But this is so funny. My sisters and I have a lot of fun things. I think we're not super pranky. We're not delinquents, but we have a lot of fun together. I think, and I think we're just really, really great friends. And I'm excited that I'm so close with my sisters. So I love them, and they're great. My brother is fantastic. He's so funny. He's just, I forget sometimes how old he is, guys. I remember when we moved to Valley Springs that I was in charge of making sure that he made it on the right bus, because I was just so, I put myself in charge of that job, because I was so afraid that I would lose my brother when we had to take the bus home, because we were used to riding bikes home and being able to be within walking distance to home, and I was so nervous that I was gonna lose him. So I made him tell me every single day what bus he had to get on. That way I was okay with knowing that he would make it home. And he's just grown into a wonderful, wonderful young man. He's very responsible. He likes to have fun and he loves video games, but he's very, very good. He's not as crazy or rebellious as the other boys in the ward. He doesn't climb on the roof. He's very respectful. He's very smart, and I'm so, so glad he's my brother. Very proud of him. And I'm proud of my sisters too, but there's just something different with Hunter, since I'm older than him and I've seen him grow, that I'm very, very glad that he's my brother. And I'm very proud of who he is, and I'm very proud of my sisters as well. They have accomplished so much, and I think it's harder as a little sister to be super emotional about their progress, because they've always been an inspiration to me. They've always been what I've strived for. I know going into teachers' classrooms, if they've had my sisters, they're like, "Oh, you're Megan and Morgan's sister. That's great." And they just they set the bar pretty high, so I'm very proud of them as well as my brother. It's just a little different trying to live up to the expectations than watching your sibling grow. But I love my siblings so much. I wouldn't trade them for anyone else. And our relationship is very precious to me. And I feel very sad for people who don't get along with their siblings. And I'm very grateful for the family that I have and the love that we have together, and then all the memories that we have together. And I love them very, very much. So Max is my husband. He's very skinny, very handsome man. I love him very much. So we met on a blind date, which is pretty funny. We met on the 20th of October in 2017. No, 2016. 2016. And so what happened was I moved to YView, and I expected to room with someone that was in my last ward, and she just didn't show up. And so I got a new roommate. She's really nice. Kirsten is great. So I'm like, okay. And then she said, oh, why don't we have a game night with my fiance's roommates, because they're kind of cute. You want to meet them? So I'm like, okay, that'd be fun. But then the day came, and then I remembered I had family dinner with my aunt and uncle and Mona. So I didn't go to the game night, and then so I didn't really meet the roommates then, but then later Kirsten was she was saying like, oh, Quinn has a cute roommate. Would you think you want to go on a date with him? I'm like, sure, why not? I mean, I had nothing else to do, nothing else to lose. Why not date someone that I had no idea who it was? Like, go on a date. That's not bad. So I was really excited for it. I was really excited for the date, because I hadn't gone on a date in a while. Only like, I don't know, maybe half a year. It's not bad. So she tells Quinn's roommate, her fiance's roommate, what my phone number is so he can text me and set up a date. So we decided to meet on Thursday, October 20th, and we met at 7 o'clock we met at 6:30 because I had a class until 6 and I had to take the bus home. So we walked over first he knocks on the door. I answer, I know it's my date, I know it's Max, but I open the door, I'm like, are you Max? Like, and in my head I'm screaming, that is so weird, what are you doing? You're so awkward. I'm like, well, okay. But, we started walking over to Cafe Zupa's, and we started talking. I talked about Harry Potter and Quidditch and Pokemon, because those were my interests, and I thought, what the heck, if he doesn't like what I like, then it doesn't even matter to tell him on the first date. Like, I don't know this guy, so it's okay. And so we had dinner, and then we came home, and it was like an hour and a half date, and then we got to my doorstep, and he's like, oh, well, do you want to go on a second date next week? So I just like, yes. I came back into my apartment, was so excited because I liked him. He was really, really cool. He's really quiet on the first date, so it's hard to hear a lot what he said, but I still liked him a lot, so I was really excited for a second date. And my roommate was there who set us up, and she's like, how'd it go? Like, good? And she's like, okay, that's good. I'm like, yeah, we have a second date. So she kind of like really, really got excited, kind of started, she didn't like scream, but she kind of like did the excited so yeah. And then Our second date was carving pumpkins on the 27th, and because it was right before Halloween. And then on the Saturday, I carved Jack Skellington, and he carved Lantern, the Pokemon. I don't remember if that's his name, but yeah, he carved a Pokemon into his, and then he asked me out on a third date that night to go to an orchestra. But in between that date, the date we were on and the next date, I asked him to go watch Kubo with me at the theater at BYU. And then he held my hand during the movie. That was pretty fun. And then on Monday night, it was Halloween. I was dressed up as Star Butterfly, and he didn't dress up at all for Halloween, which was kind of lame. But anyway, we watched Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, and we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas. And it was really, really fun. And so he walked me home, and then he asked me if we could start, like, are you interested in keep dating? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want to be in a relationship? I'm like, yeah. No, wait, I said, sure. Because, yeah, no one's ever asked me that before. So, yeah. So then we started dating a week and a half after we met each other. Yeah, and it's just all great from there. Yeah. He's my first kiss. He's my first boyfriend. He's my first fiancé and only fiancé, and he's my husband and only husband for eternity. I love him so much. We got engaged March 16th, which was also a Thursday. We just had something about Thursdays. Date night was Thursday, engagement Thursday. We got married on a Friday, though. So then I was planning a wedding. I found my dress on sale for like $125, which is awesome because Max told me I couldn't find a dress that cheap, and I said, watch me. So I did, because I'm not buying $1,000 dress for like 3 times to wear it. I love my wedding dress, and I still have it, and I will keep it forever, but it was cheap, which is also a plus. So I planned a wedding. We planned a lot of it together, like the colors were red and lilac and coral and like seafoam green or something, similar to that green color. I don't remember the exact name. And we did terrariums at our wedding, and we had cheesecake as our wedding cake because that's the best kind of cake there is. And it was just, yeah, it was good. We got married in the Sacramento Temple in California on August 18th. Best day ever. And my husband is so precious. Because he didn't cry a little, and I've never seen him cry before or after that day. He cried a lot when we got married, and he was sobbing. It was really cute. It was really precious, and I love him so much. And I really love that we're sealed together forever. He's my best friend. I talk to him about everything. I want to spend every moment with him. And I am very glad that my father told me not to go on a mission because I had to meet him. I had to meet Max. So glad that he also made my roommate that I expected to have not come, so that I would have a new roommate who would bring me to Max. There are a lot of things that Heavenly Father did to bring us together, and Max is just so loving. He would do anything for me, and I would do anything for him, and so grateful that I have him. Max is a history major. He's about to graduate from BYU. He loves video games. He also yells at his video games sometimes, and it's kind of funny because he just gets a little frustrated with the games. But he loves Magic the Gathering, and so he's made me 3 different decks, and they all are awesome, and I kick butt with those decks. I do really well. And he loves games, and he loves being able to play those games with friends and with me, and he's very selfless. He makes dinner most of the time. He goes and gets gas when I don't even think about it. He moved a lot of our furniture into the apartment when I was at school. He makes sure that I'm taken care of, and he's just the love of my life, and I'm so excited that I have eternity with him. Max is just my best friend, and I don't want to, I'm really bad at letting him go play with games with his friends because I just want to spend all the time with him. So I'm a little possessive, and I just want him to spend all his time with me. But I'm doing better. But I love him very, very much. I'm excited for us to learn and to grow and to be together throughout life, and to be able to raise a family together. And I'm very glad that he's has a strong testimony in the Savior and in God and in the gospel. I'm very glad that we were able to be directed to each other, and to live and love each other every day, and I didn't think I would find anyone as perfect for me as I did, and Max is perfect for me, and I think he's the greatest husband that will ever be on the earth because he's mine. So